No surprise here, my friends. We have Hurricane Zeta heading toward the Gulf Coast. 90-mile-an-hour hurricane at this hour, 9:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 28th. And as expected, Zeta has jumped up in wind speed and likely will again before landfall. That is right, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Again, it is October 28th, 2020, 9:40 a.m. And the National Hurricane Center has officially announced that we have Hurricane Zeta in the Gulf of Mexico. More than likely, will make landfall somewhere in Louisiana. And the reason I say likely is because you could see the updated spaghetti plots here. Hurricane Zeta model track guidance chart. And you could see basically every single spaghetti plot has this thing hitting that eastern end of Louisiana, a place that is very familiar to hurricanes. I brought this chart up to show us the current warnings and watches for Hurricane Zeta. Clearly, the purple area is the hurricane warning. That means there is going to be a hurricane making landfall. And we can see here, we have this little divot part of Louisiana here that kind of sticks out as far as landfall. And then you can see the hurricane may move in, hit New Orleans, and then move its way into Mississippi. Now, I brought up Google Earth for us so we can get a much better idea of what exactly we're talking about here. And if we zoom in, we can see there's a few areas to watch here. And we're going to see a name called St. Mary. And then we're going to see the closest towns or cities. We got Morgan City, Patterson, Centerville, Franklin. These areas are going to be under some sort of evacuation scenario based on the fact that we are very certain about where this hurricane is going to go. At least the data we have is very certain. But you guys know me. I don't like making landfall predictions. I like giving the information and the different possibilities. But it's looking like we have a pretty good idea about this. And it looks like New Orleans is in the crosshairs for this storm. All right. And this is where it gets interesting. So I have you here on Ventu Sky where we can look at predicted wind speeds and landfall of this storm. Now, I want you to understand that we are looking at a landfall today. We're talking 5 o'clock, between 5 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, based on the speed of this storm, 17 miles an hour to the north. So this thing's really trucking as a hurricane. As you can see on the time bar below, I have this reset to 10 a.m., the closest time to right now as the recording of this video. So I am at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're just going to go along the timeline and get an idea of where this thing is going to go. Now, we have a pretty good chart here in Ventu Sky, very useful website. Again, when we're dealing with hurricane models, the GFS, the CMC, the European models, we need to understand that these models are not always correct. That's why we have multiple models to get an average idea. That's where our cone of uncertainty comes from. And then we have the possibility these storms going outside the cone of uncertainty. But most of the time, at this close to a landfall, we kind of have an idea of where it's going to go because it really doesn't have anywhere else to go. So here we go. Here is 1 hour from now. We can see we have moved a pretty decent amount of time, a little bit of a shift to the west. Here is 12 p.m. noontime Eastern Standard. So now we can jump 2 hours. Let's see what happens in 2 hours after noon. A little bit closer, about half the space in between. We can jump to 5 p.m. and we are just about to make landfall by 5 p.m. today. Clearly have those 90-mile-an-hour gusts, probably going to be a little stronger than that because we have room to go with the warm water in the Gulf. Now, if we move to 6 p.m., we can see the HRR has this predicted to make landfall a little bit to the east of where we saw on the GFS. The GFS had landfall a little bit in this area, but certainly eastern Louisiana up into New Orleans. So New Orleans, you will be feeling the wrath of this storm, as will many others. Really quick, my friends, take a look at how our winter storm tracking across the center, the lower center of the country right now, bringing massive ice storms to Oklahoma. For those of you that have not known that, we're going to meet this storm with Hurricane Zeta right about over Tennessee and the northern ends of Alabama and Mississippi. This could be a very interesting situation that I will be reporting on in the near future. And don't quote me on this, but I don't quite think we're done with hurricane season just yet. All right, my friends, before I let you go, these are the storm surge totals that we have as of right now. These may rise, and we need to understand, if you see my cursor, our hurricanes here in the northern hemisphere and the Atlantic Ocean move in a counterclockwise direction. So you need to understand the geography of a state like Louisiana and why it's so prone to hurricane damage and flooding damage. It's because of all these little inlets and these rivers and these little areas of water that extend into land. And with the counterclockwise spin, and especially the location of this storm coming in at a direction almost diagonal in a northeastern slight direction by the time it makes landfall, it's going to be pulling all that water into the extended areas of Louisiana out in the Gulf. And that is why flooding will probably be a little bit worse than what you're seeing here on this chart. My friends, thank you so much for checking out the video and continuing to follow this channel. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe. Every little bit helps, and I enjoy putting this content out to you on a daily basis. I will be covering Zeta later on today, more than likely in a live stream. If not, then we will be covering it through little videos throughout the day. But we are starting to see the formation of an eye wall in this storm. We may see it before landfall. It may be moving a little too quick to actually see it. It is there, but the clouds are being peeled over the top of that eye wall, and that's why it's hard to see. All right, guys, I'll be back. We are going to have a landfall today around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be safe. I'll talk to you all very soon. Shout out to Canada. Shout out to my boys in New York. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.